Would you rather be smart or rich? Would you rather have a lot of fancy things or be healthy? The recreational drug marijuana can make you either smart or rich, but not both. With the publication of their article, Repeal Prohibition Again, the New York Times editorial board believes Congress should repeal the ban on marijuana. While the legalization of marijuana comes with a few economical perks, the increase of drug-related deaths, increase of violence, and the decrease of Americans' IQ are simply not worth the money. In this speech, I will challenge the ideas of the New York Times editorial board with my own beliefs, supported by outside research. Marijuana causes people to think unclearly. So you could be at a party, not thinking straight, and think you're okay to drive home. And when you're under the influence of marijuana, the human brain reacts slower than normal. So imagine if you're driving, and all of a sudden a car stops in front of you, and normally you would press on your brakes real quick. But you're not in your normal state of mind. Your brain's reacting slower, so you don't step on the brakes right away and you slam the car in front of you. Even if you don't use marijuana, let's say the car in front of you is, because marijuana is legal. And not only is their brain reacting 2 seconds slower, their depth of perception is also off. So if you're the car behind them, you're driving, and all of a sudden the car doesn't see how close they are to the car in front of them, they crash into that car and you rear end the driver. So even if you weren't the one using marijuana, it's still affecting your health and your safety. Not only does marijuana affect your brain reaction and your depth perception, but it contains more than 400 chemicals that destroy brain cells and lead to cancerous diseases. You might be thinking, yeah, cigarettes are harmful, but they're still legal. Well, you'd be thinking like the New York Times editorial board, who claim marijuana is just as bad as cigarettes and alcohol. However, one joint deposits about 4 times more tar into lungs than a cigarette. In a study done by New York University, about 8,000 teenagers were analyzed who had either smoked weed or drank alcohol. The marijuana caused students to have poor relationships with teachers and bosses, which then led to poor job and school performances, while the students who drank alcohol only experienced regretful behaviors. Marijuana is historically known as a gateway drug that can help lead to cocaine, crack, and meth. A lot of college students occasionally smoke weed and still graduate and carry on to a successful career. But have you ever seen a successful meth head? That's because successful meth heads do not exist. More marijuana equals more drugs equals more meth equals homelessness. So what's going to happen to teenagers today that can just smoke weed whenever they want? We're supposed to be the future leaders of America, but are we even going to make it to 50? Are our organs going to shut down? How are we supposed to be the leaders if America is telling us to destroy brain cells? The majority of people who wish to legalize marijuana believe that drug violence occurs because these drugs are illegal. James Ostrowski is one of these people. He states that the illegalization of marijuana costs nearly $10 billion per year out of our pockets, taxpayers, and imprisons 75,000 Americans, and it fills our cities with violent crime. Okay, so if we take out the crime, you still have cities filled with violence. In other words, he believes the best way to reduce violence is to add more drugs to the situation, because more drugs is always the best solution to every problem. The New York Times agrees with Ostrowski, claiming that the social costs are just too high, no pun intended, with 658,000 arrests just last year for marijuana possession. Is the New York Times editorial board putting America's costs over American safety? Because if that's the case, we might as well just give up on the war on terrorism too, right? Colorado has recently legalized marijuana and is so far enjoying the benefits. But just 40 years ago, Alaska legalized marijuana and noticed that their teenagers smoked more than double the amount of weed that teens in other states smoked, which led to them making marijuana illegal once again. History always seems to repeat itself, and in 10 years, I think we'll find Colorado in the same boat. Now, the purpose of a government is to keep its citizens safe, which is what Congress is doing by illegalizing marijuana. Just because something is legal does not make it safe. So have you changed your mind yet? Because if I had the choice, I would rather be smart than rich. The New York Times editorial board may disagree, but money can only do so much. Safety, health, and intelligence are much more important. Thank you so much for watching my position speech on the New York Times editorial board article, Repeal Prohibition Again. I hope you enjoyed it.